Here and welcome to Galway. I'm delighted to be joined by Emer Flatley. Emer, firstly, tell me about your role. I know you're heavily involved in Galway's women's football, but just tell me what is your exact role that you're working on at the moment?
At the moment, I'm the under 17 girls assistant manager along with Phil and Gabriel. I'm also the coach with our academy that we started up this summer. We started up an academy to try and attract girls from all ages to have another opportunity to play. So, girls of all abilities, all ages between 6 and 15. So, essentially, that's my two roles within Galway Women's at the moment.
Perfect. And I suppose if you look back, you had a very successful playing career yourself. Made an appearance in the Champions League here as well for Galway, and of course you had some time in the States as well. Just tell me a bit, and on course, not forgetting playing for Ireland as well. So just tell me a little bit about your background and your playing career, and then I suppose how you ventured into coaching.
Wow. Yeah, I guess looking back, playing with Galway, I'll say a few years ago, before it became Galway Women's FC, we played in Champions League, we won the Irish Cup finals. That in itself was a massive experience. I don't think you can replicate it anywhere else. Playing in the Champions League is just a different experience. Yes, I played underage with Ireland. I actually played with a couple of girls who are still playing with the senior team, the likes of Niamh Fahey, Julianne Russell. Um, and then at 18, I decided to make the move to the States, played out there for 4 years, had an absolutely brilliant experience out there. And because of that, I decided to get into coaching after. It was kind of one of those things where I had such a good experience playing and being coached that I kind of wanted to give back. You know, you can only play for so long in the female level unless you're really elite. And you know what? I decided that the coaching path for me was something that I really wanted to delve into and kind of really give back because of the experience that I had with the coaches that I had. So that's why.
Perfect. You touched on the American scene there as well. Like for in terms of women's football, that is still the elite level. We've watched them dominate the World Cup again. That must have been a wonderful experience. Like coming from the experience that you had in Ireland to seeing probably a professionalism that didn't exist here in Ireland. I guess when you first went over.
It was a culture shock. It was an absolute culture shock. It was every single day, 2 hours training, you had 2 games a week, you had gear given to you, you had a locker room, you had your own locker, you had boots, anything you wanted. You had the jerseys, the kit, the hoodies, and even in regards to the college level was is professional out there. I couldn't believe that it was a case of if you didn't go to class, you were reprimanded. So it was a case of like making sure that I became a student first, athlete second, but the experience that I gained there and just the standards that were kept across board, it was something I never experienced before. And to be honest, coming home, I spent 8 years out there between playing and coaching. And coming home, I was like, oh, probably not much has changed. Um, no way, it's completely changed from when I was playing. I left when I was 18 and came back at 28. I'll give away my age. And to see the level of want for girls programs and girls soccer, girls coaching, to now the 20 by 20 and can't see, can't be, it's a reality that is unbelievable that I personally never thought would happen in Ireland or in Galway when I used to play. So coming home and even having the Irish girls on TV, I know they've had a couple of games on TV, but the one that was last week, just to see the crowds and the absolute buzz around the place, and especially the win, it just really drives force and drives that home that being seen and being able to see these girls on the television, it excites the younger generation to have those figures to look up to, you know.
Yeah, so like I think you touched at the polar opposite there, but I'd be curious to hear a little bit about the background of you growing up. And did you have was it difficult for a girl growing up to be involved in sports and get to elite levels, or did you come across many obstacles along your way?
I suppose I was kind of afforded a really good opportunity when I was younger. I played for Salthill Devon. Um, at the beginning we were using astroturfs from all over Galway, but when that facility was created, I have to say I was one of the lucky ones in regards to everything we were given, playing on fantastic facilities in a fantastic environment. I suppose the other end of things then would be, we'll say, everything that we did and we won, and it was a case of it was highlighted, of course, but I think nowadays when there's a win or there's a brilliant game that's gone on, it's published, it's all over media, and like again back then it wasn't a case of social media wasn't that popular. And for me, I think nowadays it is the social media that can really enhance the girls' game, that maybe I wish back then our highlights with our club and with Galway would have been highlighted maybe a bit more. Because we had something good back then, absolutely. And I think it's a case of the changing of the times and allowing girls to be seen on TV, to allow them to be published and marketed on social media outlets. You know, I think I kind of said it before, when I was growing up, it was a case of you want to be like David Beckham, you want to be like Ronaldo. We didn't have any female figure to really look up to or know. It was a case of we were kind of playing against them in the Irish divisions and Irish Cup finals. But now to have the likes of local heroes like Niamh Fahey on TV, Julianne Russell, all from Galway, it bodes well for girls soccer. And, you know, especially with the World Cup that's just happened, I coached at a club and the girls had no clue it was on. I mentioned it, one or two players turned around, they were only 10, and they knew about it. So the conversation then generated between those girls in that age, which then delved into them watching TV, watching the matches. And then for them to see the Galway girls and the Irish girls on TV last week, it's unbelievable. They're their idols they can now look up to.
And it's amazing, really. We take the Irish team for instance. It's not that long ago where there was pretty much an all-out strike by the girls, just by given the lack of disgusting facilities and whatnot. And I always say when players come together as a group to come out publicly, it's the last thing they want to do, because players just want to go on and play the game. And we've seen that with numerous different sporting teams. But the fact that they had to go so public and make a stance, and now where we are now, that must feel very pleasing. That I don't want to go too strong, but maybe the tide is turning back in the correct way.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think it was always a case of, in girls soccer, you just put up with it, and you just do it because you've done it for so long. But I think now the fact that things maybe have turned and the tide has changed a little bit, it's fantastic. I think it was about time it happened, and I think the girls are well deserving for being recognised, for representing their country, representing the clubs that they're a part of. And the likes of, and I'll go back to it again, it's just having those role models for young girls in Ireland to be able to turn around and say, I want to be the next Kate McCabe, I want to be the next Julianne Russell, Niamh Fahey, the next Louise Quinn, and to see their successes being broadcast on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, TV. I think, you know what, if it wasn't a case of sometimes you kind of have to make a point to pave the new chapter and pave the new way, and I think it's absolutely unreal that it's a credit to them. It's a credit to them. It's a credit to girls soccer.
Absolutely, and you know, I think the biggest thing from I speak as I suppose a general sports fan was like the World Cup became a general sporting conversation, where I think World Cups previously didn't. But you go on social media, you go online during the World Cup, whether it was the big USA wins or some of the incredible games that there was during the way of that tournament, where everybody is talking about it, became the thing to talk about. And I suppose that really shows where it is the classic be seen, be heard mentality, and to give that exposure. We see how much that makes a difference. Looking back on to where we are now with your teams that you're coaching, are you still having difficulty, like in terms of all the basic needs that you know the girls I spoke up against before, facilities, sponsorship, and all like that? Is that still an issue, or is there still work to be done?
I think, as always, there's always work to be done, but we are afforded fantastic support with Galway Women's FC, both from senior level, under 17 and academy. No matter what you do, it'll always be a case of we need more. You know, I don't think anybody can ever be happy to settle with the basics. And I'm not saying we have the basics, we have the absolute best we need here, but we could always do with more. And in the case of whether it's gear, whether it's meals, whether it's t-shirts for training, there's always something, I think, in every club all over Ireland, that little bit extra can really go a long way. So yeah, I mean, we have great support from our board, from our coaches, but it's always a case of, even with the academy level, we've young kids coming in and we really want to give them the best, whether it's having enough footballs for each kid, whether it's having enough bibs, whether it's having t-shirts to be able to give them and not ask to pay more. It's just those simple things that I think really make the difference. So yeah, you know what, we do have great things going on here at Galway Women's FC, but me personally, I'll always say we can always do more. We can always do more.
Yeah, and I think we spoke about this off air as well, but one of the things that I noticed from growing up, and the difference that I noticed between, say, when I was growing up and right now, is ladies football. In GA terms, Little have there's been, don't get me wrong, there's been massive work done by the association, but you look at the sponsorship that a big organisation like Little has given, and we've seen the massive crowds, we've seen all the promotional work, all the marketing come up to the games where players are becoming household names. They are heroes to young kids of both sexes, really. But you look at the crowds that they have done, like it was over 51,000 at the All Ireland finals there recently, whereas I remember like going to games as a kid growing up, you'd hardly even know these games were going on. So that just shows, once you put a bit of effort into it, Ireland in particular is a big sport and audience, and there is exposure there for it, isn't there?
Absolutely. I think all of those sponsors that have got involved with the 20 by 20 Can't See, Can't Be, it's incredible the change that they've made. I went to, God, I think it was 1999 when Galway ladies were in the All Ireland. It was nowhere close to 50 something thousand. You know, if it was three, you know, maybe that was even pushing it. And it is a case of, by having the exposure and having that backing and having that push for women's soccer, women's football, women's sport in general, it can only garner more support. And it truly is, when I first read the slogan, Can't See, Can't Be, I was like, what does it mean? And
yeah, they actually, I'll let you continue and I'll read out their statement then as well. I think is really, really insightful.
Yeah, it was, when I first read it, it was Can't See, Can't Be. And I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. And then it kind of hit with all the marketing and all the publicity, social media. It was kind of like it generated this support train, really, that just got on board and everybody just kept hopping on. And it's a case of even our under-17 cup final 2 weeks ago, I've never seen such a big crowd. We had one club from an hour away organise a bus for 30 girls to come and support. Like, that's for an under-17 cup final. That's not for a senior game. That's not, you know, and it's a case of those younger generations, they want to come, they want to support. And a lot of times it's because they don't know about it. You know, when they're young kids, they don't have social media. Maybe they do. But it's a case of being in the public eye and being published and being seen and being promoted. It can add so much more to the experience for not only the supporters, but also the players. Like, I can't imagine how even the Irish girls, I know I keep going back, but even having them play in front of a crowd of nearly 5,500, that's unbelievable. That would never have been done in previous years.
Yeah, and you know, even looking at the recent Irish games, as you touched there, I know there's a lot of work being done, but it became are you going to the game tonight sort of mentality. Oh, well, I must watch. There's an excitement, there's a buzz, and let's be honest, there isn't necessarily a buzz with all of Irish football, Irish soccer at the moment, because there's loads of other issues. But there's always shows that when you get a group like that together, when you push it, and I'll read out the 2020 motto: cultural ship with a 20% increase in participation of media coverage and attendance of women's sports by 2020. And it shows the power that we can see it already. You know, world record attendance is getting that buzz. I suppose that must be your I suppose not motto, but your ambition to get that this side of the Shannon really, and to keep the West developed, because we've seen Galway's a massive sporting county. There is a big audience there, and if we can get the younger generations involved, really will have them sucked in for life.
You hit the nail on the head. It's me personally speaking, because I'm from Galway. I think the absolute necessity to get people out to games. We have a senior team who are massively successful, pushing every single weekend to be in the top 2, top 3, top 4 of the league. And then our under-17 team, which, you know, credit to itself, we won a cup final 2 weeks ago. We're in a league final this weekend. It's fantastic to try and push and generate that for support at the games. That's the biggest thing, is to, as they say, participation and a cultural shift and showing and marketing everything that's got to do with it. And I think in Galway, we're really trying to make a push here. You know, even for senior games, the girls that are in our academy, will tell them to go and support the Galway senior girls on the Saturday if we're not playing. You know, and have your idols like your Ciara Cormacan, your Maeve de Burka, your Sive Doyle, your Aoife Thompson. Like, let that be the idols in Galway for the local girls. And then on a national level, they're going to watch them on TV anyway. But it's a case of getting them out to games, getting them out to even support the under-17s. You know, in a couple of years' time, these girls from the academy could be the next generation of Galway women's, Galway senior players, Irish players. So it's fantastic, and I'm glad to be a part of it. And I'm glad, after coming home after 8 years in the States and having a little bit of maybe a negative view, for that to be totally changed. It's amazing.
And I suppose if we look forward long term, what's the ambition of the Galway Women's FC? What is it to have a superpower in the Irish League back here, fill out the ground every week? Is that the ambition, and have players playing overseas? I know we've a few playing at the moment, notably Nifai, vice captain of Liverpool. The club is big of Liverpool as well, which is great. Super work going on in England as well with the Super League there as well. Some of those attendances are absolutely incredible. Is that the aim for Galway to become a powerhouse of the league?
Yeah, I think baby steps in regards to everything. But it truly is. We'd love to get Galway winning the league. You know, going to Champions League, experiencing the experiences that some of us have had before. Maybe an under 19s team, an under 17s team, under 15s. Like, why not generate and develop as many teams, whether it's in Galway or in the league, as possible? I think having more publicity for it and enthusiasm for it and energy for it, it would be fantastic. I mean, we have fantastic facilities, the likes of Eamon DC Park, for a cup final or a league final. It's to fill those seats. It's to get the girls of the future generations to come in and see what they can be part of, you know, and be a part of something that's successful and driven and really supports women's soccer in the west of Ireland. You know, we have a great draw from, to be honest, for our under 17 team, we have a draw from Cavan, Mayo, Clare, Westmeath, you know, and so
Wow, that's pretty a big attachment area, isn't it?
yeah, well, as we look at it, it's from the 4 different provinces. So it's fantastic support for our under 17s to be able to come together from all over Ireland, really, and push the game of women's sport in Galway. I think there's even a buzz about it this weekend that we're excited for, and hopefully we can generate a nice big crowd, maybe the biggest we've ever had, hopefully, to support the girls in what they're doing and what they've done for the past 2 years.
And I suppose if we look at it, look, you spoke about the great work that's happening here in Galway at the moment. Collectively, if we go from a national scale, look at the powers to be that are in charge of the game. Do you feel like you're getting enough support from there, or is there more work that could be done to push the league from an overall point of view? Maybe try and get more games on TV, etc. What are your thoughts on the general Irish game at the moment?
Well, it's great that you mentioned that. You know, I'm sure under 17s it'd be hard to get them on TV just for money wise and stuff. I think it's going in the right direction. I think people are pushing it in the right direction. It would be really cool and really, I think, forward if even women's national league games are on TV. Now I know it's cost depending and everything related, but I think even having that opportunity once, twice a year, like I said, baby steps, or even steps that we can proactively take to kind of create that mindset of, yeah, now they've got women's national league games on TV. You know, they do it in the Men's League of Ireland. It'll be fantastic if in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it might be, to afford that opportunity to the women's game as well. I absolutely think it'll be fantastic.
Absolutely. Well, look, we thank you very much for your time. I wish you very best of luck at the weekend, and with all your continued good work here back in Galway. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Jonathan.